Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So I thought I would bring you out here this morning before it gets too hot to have a little coffee chat out here. It is going to be a toasty one today, and I can already feel it. You know, the heat just starts coming through the trees, and it just starts getting warmer and warmer, and every little last trace of the cool night air has vanished. But what I want to talk to you about today is something that I've kind of been mulling over for a while now. You know, when it comes to the internet, people will often be very critical in the comments section. And now, before I go any further, I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for anything like that. I have a very thick skin, and I've been a public face on the internet for a very long time. First as a blogger, long before YouTube. When people say rude or hateful things or whatever, it's just water off a duck's back. I do try to keep the environment for my channel and my website and everything a welcoming and friendly place. And so, if people write hateful things, I do delete them, and I pray for their souls, because hateful people need Yeshua. They need Jesus in their life. So some of the things that I've had people comment on and ask questions about is the way I dress. Now, if you've been around for a while, you know I can rock some blue jeans and boots and flannel shirts, and I still wear them from time to time, but generally not if it's over like 40 degrees, because I have become so hot-natured over the years, and menopause helps with that, I'm sure, that I cannot handle wearing all those heavier layers when it's even remotely warm outside. But over the last couple of years, I have begun dressing more feminine, wearing a lot more dresses and skirts, and it's just something that I've just felt a little more drawn to. And people have commented on it, and they've noticed and things like that. Just like they comment about my head covering, that wearing a scarf on my head. Now, I wear the scarf on my head because I really do believe that the Father wants me to do that. And no, I don't see a scriptural mandate for that. And I have a whole video where I talk about it. But, I do believe the Father wants me to do it, whether it's for forever or for a season. And I believe He has His purpose. And I have some ideas, or I have an idea of why maybe He wants me to do this, but I don't know. And honestly, I don't need to know the why of it. I have learned that it's better to just be obedient and do what the Father's leading you to do. And, if you don't learn why, that's okay. The obedience is much more important. But one of the things that, people comment about is they say, well, what does your husband think about you wearing a headscarf? Or what does your husband think about you the way you dress, and things like that. And, the fact of the matter is, my husband has never said a word to me about any of this. My husband has a very kind and soft heart. And, I've noticed over the years, and I've experienced that when the Father is directing me to do something, He softens my husband's heart towards me to be accommodating. We don't fight about it. We don't do anything. And the best example I can give you is how we gave up our forever home, what we thought was our forever home in Alabama, to move here to the mountains. And if you're not familiar with that story, I'll put a link in the video description down below or up above in a card. But again, the dresses, the skirts, I just feel like I just want to dress more feminine. I want to dress more, modestly. And I really don't care what other people think. And I know that some of the dresses that I have might seem a little old-fashioned, but you know what? Who cares? Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned. You know, it seems like in our society and in our culture that women are just impressed upon to defy the fact that they're aging. They'll, you know, bathe their hair in carcinogenic chemicals to hide what the Father says is a crown of glory. You know, aging is a gift. We shouldn't be injecting our faces with swine botulism to hide the fact that we've got wrinkles, or you know, that we're aging. I've noticed in the last couple years I'm starting to get what my grandma called her turkey neck. Aging is a gift, y'all. It is. With age comes wisdom, and I don't see a problem with embracing the fact that we're aging. You know, if I want to dress what some might consider a little old-fashioned with my choices in wardrobe, then so be it. I'm not here to please anybody but the Father, and really my husband likes the way I dress, so who else do I need to please? But that said, you know, I only get critical comments on the internet. And for whatever reason, you know, people feel the license to be rude or critical and, you know, criticize me for the way I dress and the way I act or the things I say or what I cook or, you know, pick a topic. But as far as the way that I dress in real life, out in public, I have never had anyone say anything negative to me. I've never had, you know, someone giving me a side eye, whether it's, you know, my clothing or my headscarf. Much to the contrary, the reaction has been completely 100%, 180 degrees from that position. I have had so many people in the last, especially the last year, just randomly compliment me on the way I dress. Just this week, I went to Walmart, and as I was walking in, there was a lady walking out with her friend or sister, maybe. They kind of looked a little similar. And she commented on my headscarf to her friend or sister. And she said, "Man, I've always wanted to be able to do that, but I could never get them to stay on my head." And so I paused and I took a moment to let her know about my secret. That these headscarves have sewn in velvet headbands so they don't slip. And I told her how they're even pre-tied so you don't have to have skills or anything. And she was like, "What?" So, you know, every incident or interaction that I've had over my clothing or my headscarves has been positive. I've only ever had one man say something to me, and what he said was very complimentary, and he actually said that he wished more women dressed this way. Now, the way I dress, I don't do this for attention. Again, I do this because I just feel drawn to embracing being a granny. I am a granny. I have 3 grandbabies. 2 are out and walking around, and 1 is baking in the oven. So why can't I just embrace being a grandmother? Why can't I embrace aging and growing old and embracing the gift that aging is? You know, sometimes I wonder if this desire, not just with women, but also with men, to defy aging isn't a symptom of their fear of dying. You know, men are doing the swine botulism, the Botox injections, and, all of these things. And again, aging is a gift. It is experience. It is life. And there's nothing wrong with it. Now, of course, I'm not saying don't be healthy, don't, eat well or exercise or any of those things. I'm not saying don't be active or take care of yourself physically, but we don't need to artificially do things to defy the fact or hide the fact that we are aging. If you don't have a fear of death, then you're not going to fear aging. And like I said, I don't dress this way to draw attention to myself. To be quite honest, one of the reasons I was resistant to wearing headscarves when I felt the Father telling me that he wanted me to do this for his reasons was that I didn't want to draw attention to myself. I didn't want to stand out and have people look at me or say things or give me scowls or whatever. But surprisingly, the response has been just the opposite. Like I said, nobody's ever given me a look. Now, there has been second glances, but it's never been in a negative way. And what really, really surprised me was that the vast majority, by far, in multiple times over, the number one demographic of people who say something to me about the way that I dress, about my headscarves, and just my overall look is young women. Young women. I'm talking early 30s, college age, even high school girls, or to me what appear to be high school girls. I have gotten to that age where a lot of these young people feel like kids to me, and they might be in their 20s. I remember seeing people say stuff like that when I was young and laughing about it, and now I'm that person. But it's young women who are usually the age of women who are dressing very provocatively, who feel the need to transform themselves into society's expectations. And that is just something that has been so surprising to me. I would say easily 85 to 95% of the comments that I get are from young ladies. Just the other day, I walked into Tractor Supply, which, having a homestead, I go there pretty often. And when I was checking out, there was a lady at the register, and she commented on the dress that I had on that day and everything. And she said, "I always love seeing you coming in because you always have the prettiest dresses on." And now, I'm not always wearing dresses. I do still wear blue jeans. I do still wear t-shirts and boots and all of that. But more often than not, I am wearing dresses or skirts. But she doesn't notice the blue jeans and the t-shirts, but she remembers the dresses. And it just kind of made me chuckle. Like I said, Proverbs chapter 16 says that a head of white hair is a sign of splendor. It is a crown of glory. It is okay to embrace femininity. It is perfectly fine to accept and embrace and cherish the fact that we are aging. We have lived a full life. We've been there and done that, and we have experience and knowledge to share with a younger generation. We don't need to pretend to be that younger generation. I don't feel the need to look like I'm 30 years old still, even though at times there's a piece of me that feels like I still am, because it's hard to believe how much time has passed so quickly. It seems like a week ago I was homeschooling my children, and now I'm thinking about what my grandchildren are going to do. Time flies. So I'm just saying all of this to encourage people to not feel the pressure or succumb to the pressure of what our society thinks you should be. We live in a wicked world, so why listen to them about when it comes to making choices for our lives, or the way we dress, or the way we speak, or the way we live. Once upon a time, the Father washed it all away with water, and there will come a day again where He will cleanse the world from the evil and the wickedness, this time with fire. So forcing ourselves to adopt the norms and meet the expectations of this wicked world, it's not for us. We're in the world, but we're not supposed to be of the world. In Revelation, it says to come out of her, my people, lest you face the, and I'm completely paraphrasing, but lest you experience the punishment, the plagues, the things that she's going to receive, her punishment. You know, as I said before a couple of times, aging is a gift. And the older we get, the more experience we have, the more knowledge we have and wisdom that we can share with another generation. And quite frankly, if you are living for the Father, if you have been washed in the blood of the Lamb, and you know your Messiah, you know Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, then you have nothing to fear anyways. And the older you get, the closer you are to seeing Him face to face. That should be something to look forward to. It shouldn't be something to be afraid of. It shouldn't be something to pretend isn't going to happen. And if you do have a fear of aging, if you do have a fear of death, then take the opportunity today to make sure that you're not going to die in your sins. We're not promised tomorrow. Not everybody gets to grow old. Not everybody gets to be a granny. You know, I actually have a dress that many would consider a muumuu, and I kind of think of it as a muumuu. It's officially called a kaftan, and it is so comfortable. I wear it on Shabbats sometimes when I can just lounge around and just relax all day. There is joy in not fearing death, in not fearing aging. You can just embrace who you are as God's perfect creation, and embrace that you're a day closer every morning when you open your eyes. You're a day closer to seeing your Father, to meeting Yeshua face to face. And I hope that for everyone out there who's listening or watching right now, that when that day comes and you meet Him face to face, is that what you hear is, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into your rest. Enter into your reward." And that what you don't hear is, "Depart from me, you worker of iniquity, you worker of lawlessness. I never knew you." Those words, every time I read them in the scripture, they just, I feel it with my soul, and I think of how many people who are out there who are just living lost, and they don't even know it. And I pray that the Father gives them revelation and opens their eyes, and that they are drawn to Him in the fullness of His word, so that they don't hear those words. Y'all, make your calling and election sure. Make sure that when you die, or Yeshua comes back, whichever comes first, that it is something to look forward to, so that you don't fear aging, so that you don't feel the need to defy time and age and all of that. Just embrace it. Give yourself permission to age, because again, it is a gift. So, just some thoughts this morning, kind of a little rambling chit-chat out here in the garden with coffee. But the sun is about to break loose at the trees over there, so it is time to get on with the day. Thank you for joining me out here in the garden for a little bit of a chat. I hope it encourages you. I hope you look forward to the day when you meet the Father. And I pray that you embrace who He made you to be. With that, God bless, and I'll talk to you all next time.